Alright. If you for some reason decided to load up speedrun.com before clicking on this video, then you caught me. South Park: The Fractured Butthole actually has 29 players on the leaderboard. So case closed, I guess. But if we break down these numbers, most people are actually speedrunning the DLCs, which include From Dusk Till Qazplm and Bring the Crunch. For the main game leaderboards, there are 7 any% no DLC speedruns, and then 4 speedruns in the any% category with DLC, which is a decent number for sure. But compared to the Stick of Truth that has 46 speedrunners for the main category, plus several other speedruns and runners across different classes and game patches, it was a bit confusing to me why nobody is running this game. You guys really enjoyed my previous South Park video, and I know people were really looking forward to my typical speedrun explain format for the run, which I tried to adhere to for this video, but if I were to do so with the run in its current state, the video would be well over an hour long. So I'm going to give it my best shot to condense it as much as possible. The setting in the Fractured Butthole takes place one day after the events of the Stick of Truth. In the opening cinematic, there's a poster scene for a lost cat named Scrambles with a $100 reward. Cartman returns to his ultra superhero persona, the Coon, and travels back in time to warn the children of South Park of a crime syndicate that exists in his future, and finding the missing cat is the key to solving the mystery. The gameplay in this game is a lot longer compared to the Stick of Truth. The website How Long to Beat estimates the game's length to be anywhere from 14 to 18 hours long, which is several hours longer compared to the estimated 8 to 12 hours it would take to beat the Stick of Truth. So since the game is nearly twice as long, you'd probably expect the speedrun to be twice as long as well, right? Well, not exactly. Up until March of this year, the speedrun was well over 6 hours long in the standard any% no DLC category, and 5 hours and 25 minutes in the category with DLC. Which just seems ridiculous, especially considering the Stick of Truth is only an hour and 20 minutes long, and the unpatched run is even shorter at an hour and 12 minutes. But with that being said, it is worth mentioning that there are unpatched speedruns of this game from over 5 years ago that have times under the 4-hour mark. A reason for not including them is because these unpatched runs make use of a glitch that mysteriously stopped working, and even after downpatching the game, speedrunners still don't have access to the glitch. So in today's video, I'd like to go over the more recent developments of this game's speedrun in the past 2 months, and try to share as much about the run as possible, while cutting out a lot of the downtime. I'll also talk about what exactly makes this game less appealing to speedrun compared to Stick of Truth, explain the mystery behind the sacred glitch, and also announce a $250 bounty for anyone who can solve the mystery, and figure out how to bring the glitch back into existence. I hope you all enjoy. But before we get to that, I'd like to give a special thanks to today's video sponsor, Surfshark Bonita. Okay, yeah, it's just Surfshark, but did you know in order to watch episodes of South Park, it's actually kind of complicated? If you have an HBO Max subscription, you can only watch South Park in the US, and if you have a Paramount Plus subscription, you can watch South Park anywhere but the US. But with Surfshark, you can connect to a server of your choosing and get access to any regional block content from any streaming service. In this case, you could even connect to a US server to access South Park's website and literally watch episodes for free there. But again, you won't be able to do so from outside the US because it's blocked. But with Surfshark, not only can you get access to block content, you may even be able to get access to new games that get released early in places like Australia. Maybe even the new South Park game when it finally arrives. If you're interested in trying out Surfshark, you can get a massive discount by using my code EZScape at checkout or by using the link in the description. Surfshark also offers a 30-day money-back guarantee, so there's no risk for trying it out. Thanks again to Surfshark for sponsoring this video. Now let's get back to the speedrun. First, we need to understand the combat system in Fractured Butthole, since it differs significantly from Stick of Truth. This game is a tactical turn-based RPG, requiring strategic positioning on a battle grid to execute attacks. In addition, the enemy AI isn't randomized, which leads to predictable outcomes in fights. And then there's combat assists, which really simplifies the gameplay, guaranteeing that quick-time events will always hit an enemy, even if it's mistimed, effectively giving a 100% critical chance. Because these fights are a lot easier, this only leaves the challenge of memorizing sequences of actions for each fight. In the past, the primary category was simply any%, or as it's known now as any% unpatched, which exploited a powerful PC-exclusive experience glitch. It basically allowed players to repeatedly earn experience from unlocked titles, unlocking artifact slots and gaining significant stat boosts early in the game. These titles range from taking selfies with a certain number of people to use in other people's toilets. As demonstrated in Firepaw's unpatched speedrun world record, we can see him save and reload the game a bunch of times after earning a few titles. At just 30 minutes in, he already unlocked 7 out of the 8 artifact slots, which for reference isn't achieved until about 2.5 hours into an any% current patch DLC speedrun. This major discovery was the holy grail. However, one day, it just stopped working. Yeah, that's right. Even though this game is unpatched, the trick just went away. So how is this even possible? Well, the presence of the Uplay launcher was necessary to play the Fractured Butthole, being a requirement for all Ubisoft titles for authentication, achievement tracking, and social features. On October 29, 2020, it was rebranded as Ubisoft Connect, offering new features and enhancements. However, this update caused XP glitch to stop working in the downpatched version of the game. Since there was no other explanation as to why it stopped working, the community speculated that the launcher upgrade caused the issue. As a result, the any % speedrun category was completely affected, necessitating a reroute of the entire game. Despite runner efforts to find solutions, nothing conclusive emerged at the time. So I'll be putting out a $250 bounty to see if anyone can somehow figure out how to make this XP glitch work again on any version of the game, and also extend this to any new XP glitches that give a similar effect, even if it's not the same bug exactly. Hell, I'll even pay it out if someone finds a glitch discovery to get this game under 3 hours, since with current strats, it is impossible at the moment. But I'll address this more towards the end of the video. The speedrun for the Fractured Butthole remained dormant for years due to the lack of motivation for rerouting. The length of the run, typically lasting 5 to 6.5 hours, discouraged many from attempting it. However, in the past year, speedrunners like Blastdog and Qazplm made significant improvements. Qazplm now holds world records in both categories, completing the run in 3 hours and 52 minutes without DLC, and 3 hours and 14 minutes with DLC. Despite these impressive times, the original any % world record set by Firepaw over 5 years ago still stands at 3 hours and 48 minutes. The run's considerable length presents a challenge, and we'll explore why this is the case, focusing on the faster and more optimized DLC run. However, if you ask me, the real any % category is starting the game and skipping the intro cutscene over and over again until Cartman gets pissed off and sends us straight to the credits. But I guess this isn't technically possible with current speedrun rules, since timing actually starts after character creation. This does mean speedrunners literally have to watch the entire intro cutscene every time they want to do a speedrun, so it's a pretty successful troll in my books. To optimize gameplay, we turn on combat and minigame assist while disabling Tally, who slows things down with his advice during fights. The game has a difficulty slider at the character selection screen based on skin color. This doesn't really matter, but if you choose to play as a black character, you will gain an extra artifact after talking to Morgan Freeman, as well as a little extra dialogue from a police officer. As a new kid, we start with the toilet minigame for title progression, although it's not essential for the run. To prepare, we'll loot the toy chest twice, acquiring artifacts, recipes, and DNA from other save files. The Time Reamer and Stash of Merit +6 artifacts, as well as a Touch of Youth, Psychotic Episode, and Alien DNAs are crucial for any speedrun. However, this process can take up to 2 minutes, considering the number of artifacts, recipes, and DNA from other saves, as well as the DLC items and Ubisoft Club rewards. And then the second loot provides crafting materials we'll use throughout the run. Exiting our house, Kyle and Butters inform us about the Moorish situation at Koopa Keep, and we switch the difficulty to casual, which is optimal for speedruns. A few fights ensue, and it's worth noting how the game decides turn order. In fights, being the aggressor grants combat advantage, ensuring that you go first. Conversely, if you're not the aggressor in a fight, you have a combat disadvantage. A list has been compiled to show your party's turn priority in any given fight from fastest to slowest. In the case of these first few fights, we always have priority over Kyle and Butters, but until our moveset increases, we are slower than Cartman, Clyde, Jimmy, and Bradley. The main strat used in the first few fights is to use a fart attack to AoE all nearby enemies. This includes purposely skipping turns so that the enemies advance tiles, which will purposely line them up for the fart radius. Next, we approach Cartman's house, but we can't get in because there's lava at the front porch. The Moors tell us that the dragon is being released, and once we get close enough to it, we can use the Hammer of Heavenly Rain to one-shot it. Next, we'll get on top of this garage in order to jump off of it into Cartman's backyard. Cartman appears as a coon and convinces everyone to play superheroes. After entering Cartman's house, we'll need to enter his basement by inputting the correct passcode for the door. But attempting to enter the code before discovering it in his journal results in this.
Okay, so I guess you just want to Tom Brady your way through the whole game? What's the matter, can't do it on your own?
Once getting downstairs, he tells us that we need a superhero persona and that we can fill out a character sheet on Kunstagram. Since we don't have one, he creates one for us, along with an elaborate backstory about how we fended off several intruders with our superpowers. But after opening the door to our parents' room, we find out that we were too late and our dad was fucking our mom. But what's nice about this segment is that DLC classes don't have origin stories, which means selecting them skips the class tutorial completely, saving about 2 minutes compared to non-DLC runs. We'll choose a Netherborn, since this is the best class. Cartman then explains that we need to build followers on Kunstagram, as it's the only way the Kun and Friends franchise will survive. To start our Kunstagram page, we'll walk around taking selfies with various people around South Park, such as Mrs. Farnacle, the Mailman, Maddie, and Kevin. Next, we'll fight a 6th grader named Bartles and grab the Divine Amplifier artifact recipe before entering Craig's house. We need to be on the lookout for artifacts and recipes, as one of our goals is to unlock the Artifact Hunter title, which grants experience to level up our hero rank efficiently. Craig asks us to find his guinea pig, Stripe, and as a reward, we can take a selfie with him and unlock him as a combat buddy. On our way to Kyle's house, we'll encounter more lava, learn that Butters, aka Professor Chaos, is the one responsible for it. Cartman says we'll deal with him when the time is right, so we continue on. Kyle sends a distress call, and we deal with an alternate version of the human kite, who turns out just to be his cousin, also named Kyle. Midway during the fight, he uses his ultimate superpower, but ends up defeating himself in the process. After the fight, we take a selfie with Kyle, also unlocking him as a combat buddy. Then we'll collect the first Yowie in Ike's room. These are art collectibles that are spread throughout the game. A secondary goal in the speedrun is to collect 5 for the Novice Yowie Collector title. Back at Cartman's house, he teaches us how artifacts and DNA work. We equip the Alien Probe artifact and Touch of Youth DNA for the best boost available. As we walk around town, we'll find fast travel points similar to Stick of Truth. In addition, there's a title for activating a certain amount of them as an added bonus. After we defeat the 6th graders, we go to Main Street to grab the first fast travel points, which also unlocks Fast Pass as a combat buddy. Even something as simple as a fast travel in this game adds a lot of time to the run. In the Stick of Truth, to unlock fast travel locations, you'd simply just have to walk near one. But in this game, you have to physically go up and interact with them, and at any time you want to fast travel, you're locked into a cutscene. This seems like a weird change overall, since the previous system seems so much better, even for casual play. But for the speedrun, this can easily add a few minutes. Cartman then reminds us to fill out Kryptonite on the character sheet, sending us to talk to Mosquito at Raisins. The girls at Raisins are Mosquito's Kryptonite, and he attempts to leave without paying the bill and explains to us that they won't go down without a fight. For this fight, our party will consist of Fast Pass, Mosquito, who is technically not unlocked yet, and Human Kite. First, we'll use New Kid's Ghastly Grasp on the top row of girls. Then we'll use Fast Pass's second skill on Mosquito to knock some sense into him, since we start out this fight with him charmed. Afterwards, we use Human Kite's first skill on the lone girl on the top row. We then intentionally skip Mosquito's turn, use New Kid's Dire Shroud, and then use Fast Pass's second skill on the remaining girl, finishing the fight pretty quickly. As mentioned earlier, coordinated strats such as these will always have the same outcome. We choose our Kryptonite, opting for the first option just to menu faster, as it's believed to have no significant impact on the run. We'll grab the second Yowie in front of the City Hall, and then head to the church to fight the priests. Afterwards, we'll get the fast travel point outside of the church, and Cartman asks us to buy him a taco at Freeman's Tacos. Before doing that, we talk to Mr. Mackey at the school so he can explain to us about our gender. Whatever gender we choose will go on our character sheet, and by selecting other, we'll be able to skip 2 cutscenes later on. After defeating a bunch of rednecks outside the school, we activate the fast travel point and return to Main Street. At the taco shop, Morgan Freeman gives us a crafting tutorial, and once it's finished, we craft a ton of artifacts by immediately closing out of and reopening the menu between crafts. It's faster to craft this way as it bypasses the experience gained animation. Although it's pretty difficult to pull off, so I wouldn't recommend trying it out unless you're also trying to speedrun Arthritis at the same time. These artifacts that are crafted contribute significantly to the Artifact Hunter title. Finally, we'll replace the alien artifact with the Tachyon Matrix and add the crystal capacitor to our second slot. Now it's time for the first noteworthy glitch of the speedrun, called Class Dupe. Quaz doesn't do this in his world record run, but it's still worth mentioning. When Cartman asks us to pick a new class, we can spam the cancel button after confirming a class selection, saving about 45 seconds overall. However, this is a risky trick, and missing it can cost over a minute, which is why it's currently avoided, as it wasn't required for Quaz to get world record, but maybe eventually he will include it in runs. How it works is after quickly selecting the Speedster class, we'll cancel out of the menu. If done correctly, the menu will reappear, allowing the selection of a third class, Final Girl, which skips the tutorial. Since Quaz doesn't attempt this glitch, the rest of the strats in this video assume there's no class dupe, as there are small changes to the route if you do decide to do the glitch. Anyways, after selecting Final Girl, we'll switch Soul Slash for Hammer Bomb, which is an important move for an upcoming fight. After returning to Main Street, an unskippable cutscene unfolds between Kun and Friends and the Freedom Pals, with Craig and Tweak arguing about their duo status. This ultimately leads to both groups arguing with each other, and Cartman tells his allies to deal with the Freedom Pals while he chases down Timmy. After the fight, we head back to the Coon lair and are informed about a girl with a dick tattoo who supposedly has information on the missing cat, obtained from Timmy's stolen phone. They plan to find her at night, agreeing to break out during that time. We switch out of our superhero costume and go home to briefly sleep. During the night, we switch back into our costume and break out, only to be greeted by Captain Diabetes. For the rest of the night, we serve as a sidekick and first encounter drunk Randy, who wants to drive out and buy some more beer. Captain Diabetes takes Randy's keys, which causes Randy to get angry and fight us. After defeating him, we enter Kyle's house and go up into his attic to take a shortcut to the depths of the city. We grab the third Yowie as Captain Diabetes gets himself in place on the ladder and then take the shortcut. In the next section, we head to the Peppermint Hippo strip club to find the girl with the dick tattoo. As we traverse through the strip club, we'll pick up some ingredients that will be used to craft a drink, which will be given to the DJ in just a moment. After giving 2 VIPs lap dances and gassing up the joint, they provide the girl's name, Classy Chase. After the fight, we'll craft this drink, which consists of gin and tonic, rat shit, boogers, and cum, and give it to the DJ, putting him out of commission. Captain Diabetes then takes over the booth to call Classy to the stage. However, she escapes, leading to a chase backstage where we fight a horde of strippers. The Classy fight is one of the more interesting fights in the speedrun because of an out-of-bounds glitch that saves about 2 minutes. We'll position New Kid to stand left of this chair and then use Dire Shroud on the bottom stripper. Then we'll use Captain Diabetes' second skill in the chair and position New Kid to stand just below Diabetes. We use Hammer Bomb once and then move right 1 space to activate Classy's cutscene. When you use Hammer Bomb, you normally select a target, get another turn of movement, and then select where you want to knock the target. But because we use Hammer Bomb to walk to the tile that triggered the first cutscene, we can use it again in order to advance another tile, which gives us enough blue squares to walk on that trigger for the Butte cutscene. This cutscene moves us to a new position. However, it's not correctly updated, so after this cutscene, we're no longer restricted by the blue tiles, and can just walk to the end of the room and finish the fight. As we exit the strip club, Diabetes dies from a lack of insulin, and we just have to sit around until Morgan Freeman finishes his dialogue. This is where we learn the time fart glitch, which allows us to cancel an enemy's turn in a fight, as well as rewinds objects and living things back to the previous state. After eating an Entorito, we use time fart, which turns back time to revive Diabetes and have to sit through an unskippable cutscene. Classy flees to a nearby Italian restaurant, which is where we head to next. The rest of the night involves defeating chefs at the restaurant, and just as we approach Classy in the back room, we get another encounter with drunk Randy. After defeating him, the team brings Classy back to the Coon lair, where she reveals some information about a new kingpin and the cat thefts. However, she refuses to provide additional information unless she knows she's protected. They're interrupted by Cartman's mom, who's pissed off because it's a school night, and threatens to call everyone's parents if they don't leave. All of the children disperse. Jimmy takes Classy back to his house to protect her, and that's the end of the first day. We learn that a new kingpin has united various groups to steal cats and contaminate drugs and alcohol with cat urine to create chaos within the town, which will all be blamed on the mayor. After school, we switch to our superhero costume and head to Jimmy's house. Classy asks us to pick up her prescription in return for information on the missing cats, and Jimmy offers to enhance our superpowers using the DNA fibrillator. Here we'll equip the Nether Talisman and Alien DNA. Next up is a strat that saves about a minute, which is actually one of the biggest time saves considering it's done later again in the speedrun. Like I mentioned earlier, DLC classes don't have tutorials, so we'll take a detour to the Coon lair and switch from Final Girl to Speedster. By doing this, Cartman will eventually let us add a 3rd and 4th class to our arsenal, and by not having Final Girl during that time, makes it so we can select additional classes while skipping the class tutorials, saving 2 minutes each time. In addition, we replace Hammer Bomb with Double Edge, and swap Diabetes with Mosquito before fighting Kyle's mom. The only reason we fight her is because Kyle's cousin snitches on us after beating him up again, so she gets pissed, and now we have to defeat her. Afterwards, we make our way to Crunchy's microbrew, where we encounter PC Principal. And while this technically isn't a fight, because combat assist is turned on, it's just nearly a 2-minute autoscroller. Finally, we visit City Walk to buy 1 city shrimp and a tortilla, which will be used in a moment. Then collect the 4th Yowie and unlock a fast travel point. As we head to pick up Classy's prescription, we'll face the 6th graders and Raisin Girls once more before reaching medicinal fried chicken. We can't enter due to age sensors, so we craft and eat a chimperito, and then use time fart to bypass the sensors. This entire process lasts roughly over a minute due to Morgan Freeman's lengthy dialogue. Inside, Tally causes a commotion, as he's sober and has a short fuse, so we need to calm him down. It's not actually a fight in the sense that we beat him up, but rather, we need to get him high by lighting up piles of weed around the dispensary. We basically skip everyone's turn until Tally burns us, and then use time pause to light the piles of weed, which ends the fight way faster. The fumes ultimately get him high, and he calms down. Then he hands us Classy's prescription. Back at Jimmy's house, she informs us that the cats are being taken to the U-Store It. When we leave Jimmy's house, Mr. Mackey wants us to return to the school to further educate us about gender and sexuality, and we'll pick cis straight boy or cis straight girl for our character sheet. Both are equally fast for getting through the section. After leaving the school, we take out the rednecks, who seem to only appear anytime we make changes to our gender. Now we head to the police station, where we're pointed to the location of the Kingpin. We'll pick up the last Yowie in the park restroom, and switch out Double Edge for Quantum Fist, so that we can one-shot the Kingpin. As we enter the Kingpin's house, we see it's just an ordinary guy holding a kitchen knife, and he's not actually the Kingpin. After defeating him, we switch out Quantum Fist for Double Edge, and return to the police station. Sergeant Yates misled us, claiming the guy we fought was low-ranking in the crime syndicate, and it turns out the real Kingpin is in Token's house. Yeah, he's trying to frame random black men to cover up the town's crime, as he's the one colluding with the crime families. The next fight against the security team outside of Token's house is pretty interesting, because we're going to completely cheese it. This involves lining up our allies in a conga line, which blocks off most of the dogs and security team from attacking us, as they're not able to reach us because of the chest-like combat. We use Craig's Shining Hate Finger skill to specifically taunt one of the dogs so that it only attacks Craig, but since it can't reach us, their turn is skipped. Here we can see the entire enemy party is forced to skip their turns because they're unable to attack us. In addition, we skip all our allies' turns so that we can get back to the new kid faster. Since all of the enemies are linked up, we use New Kid's Ghastly Grasp 3 times, AoEing all of the enemies into oblivion, speeding up the fight significantly. Once inside Token's house, we disable the alarm with a hacking device. After defeating Token's dad, we return to the police station and receive an artifact as a reward. We currently have 24 artifacts, so we'll just need one more for the Artifact Hunter title. We then fast travel back to Cartman's house to buy the Cosmic Class recipe, craft 2 of them for our 25th artifact, equip both of them, and then add Final Girl as a 3rd class. Then we prepare for when Cartman lets us add a 4th class, swapping Final Girl for Psychic. After defeating the Freedom Pals at the playground, we meet PC Principal at Crunchy's Microbrew to pick our race and ethnicity for our character sheet. However, we just mash through these options, as none of what we pick matters. Cartman tells us to return to the Coon Lair, and we're informed that we're breaking into the U-Store It tonight. Before heading to bed, we search the toy chest to receive a ton of crafting materials that have been obtained through the story so far. After breaking out, we're approached by Toolshed, who, even though is aligned with the Freedom Pals, wants to lead us to Professor Chaos's lair because he owes us a favor for not letting his dad drive drunk and believes something more nefarious is going on within the city. Once we get in front of Kenny's house, we take this time to craft as Toolshed finishes his dialogue. We're basically upgrading our gear even further so that our build is completely juiced out. On our way to the U-Store It, we take out a few hobos before engaging in a few fights that lead up to Professor Chaos. This includes 2 individual fights with his minions, General Disarray, and some meth heads. When we defeat the second set of minions, we swap out Ghastly for Quantum Fist and Soul Slash for Dire Shroud. In addition, we equip the Psychotic Episode DNA and a Time Reamer for the new artifact slot. We ultimately defeat Professor Chaos and take him back to the Coon Lair to be put in the holding cell for questioning. Cartman suspects that the mastermind is Mitch Connor.
Oh no. Who's Mitch Connor? It's Cartman's dumbass hand puppet.
Kyle thinks it's silly that Cartman came up with Mitch Connor as a mastermind, so he leaves to go to bed. Cartman tells everyone to get some rest and to reconvene tomorrow after school. After taking out Professor Chaos, Coon and friends stumble across a massive meth lab at the U-Store It. Sergeant Yates receives a message from Mitch Connor, who does seem to be the mastermind behind the crime in the streets. He assures the detective that soon everyone will have what they want. On day 3, Professor Chaos offers to lead us to the Freedom Palace base for espionage. Butter's dad interrupts us at Butter's house and grounds him, but we craft a flying minion to escape. Then we head to Soda Sopa to find Mitch Connor, only to encounter city ninjas paid to assassinate us. After the fight, we switch the difficulty to Diabolic, as it's necessary for an upcoming fight. We'll also equip Supersonic Dash over Quantum Fist and equip Alien DNA. Butters helps us infiltrate the Freedom Palace base, and Timmy sends us on a mission with Token to the retirement home to prove our loyalty. The mission involves entertaining the elderly, but when they recognize us, they become hostile, trying to protect their medication. The objective of this fight is to simply escape out of the retirement home instead of defeating the elderly. We switch to Diabolic mode specifically for this fight, as it's faster for our party members to be defeated, leaving only us left to escape the retirement home. To do this, we position Tweak in the top right corner and skip his turn. Then we use New Kid's supersonic dash towards the front door, leaving the rest of the party to be defeated. After the fight, we switch back to casual mode and use the Freedom Pals fast travel to return to the Coon Lair. Cartman lets us add a 4th class, so we pick Final Girl again, and this is the last time we'll have to do this. Then we swap Supersonic Dash for Ghastly Grasp and collect more crafting materials from the toy chest. Cartman informs the group that the Freedom Pals plan to infiltrate the police station tonight, and we must reach there before them. Additionally, Classy has been arrested, and we must break her out as we promised to protect her. After we sneak out into the night, Mysterion greets us, and we head to the police station, with him believing we're only aligned with the Freedom Pals and not Coon and Friends. Upon defeating the first set of cops, we'll find the Tantalum accelerator recipe in the room before the jail cell, which we'll use to craft and equip 2 accelerators. The story intensifies as we defeat the second set of cops, leading us to face Sergeant Yates and Scrambles. The detective flees with the cat and unleashes Jared to fight us. There are 2 ways to finish this fight. The faster strat involves using Mysterion's Dark Whisper along with the New Kid's Time Pause to end it in 6 punches, saving around 8 seconds. However, there's a risk of time loss if we miss the 6th punch because Jared's aids will heal him, restarting the fight. The safer approach is to use Call Girl's Phone Destroyer skill before Dark Whisper and Time Pause to defeat Jared in 5 punches. This method always guarantees a win, since the window for executing 6 punches during a time pause is a bit tight. Next, we extract information about the Sergeant Yates secret from Jared, who only spills details when threatened by the New Kid's fart. We proceed to take the elevator down, uniting both factions to uncover the crime syndicate's secrets. After obtaining the key to the forensics room, we watch a 2.5-minute cutscene where a man gets intoxicated from cat urine and accidentally creates a toxic gas, leading to his death. To reach the bottom floor, we'll call Butters for assistance in breaching the door and use Time Fart to get the key inside. Toolshed helps blow the cat off the fan and restores the ventilation system. Entering the room, we summon Diabetes and use a fart to trigger his Diabetes Rage, which opens a green trap door. Finally, we leave the skeleton key and proceed to the bottom floor. Sergeant Yates performs a ritual to the elder god, Shub Negarath, requiring black flesh as an offering, which is why random black citizens have been unjustly arrested. Classy narrowly escapes demise by pushing one of the white guys into the pit, summoning the elder god as it dislikes white meat. The objective of the fight is to feed Shub with white meat, so we move our party members to the left side of the battle grid and use Toolshed's second skill and New Kid's double edge and fatal trim on the druids to push them towards Shub. Shub eventually pulls in all the druids, effectively defeating itself. We rescue Scrambles, and Coon and Friends are thrilled about the $100 reward. The Freedom Pals are shocked and confused. Timmy reveals that the New Kid and Coon and Friends orchestrated this ruse, so he brainwashes Coon and Friends. We're forced to fight against them. However, after damaging them a bit, they snap out of the mind control. Now we face Timmy and defeat him. Mysterion gets pissed that we hurt Timmy and explains that Timmy's plan was to create a united superhero franchise with both Coon and Friends and the Freedom Pals. They agree it's not about money anymore and release Scrambles. In the end, they decide to merge as the Freedom Pals, ending their rivalry. The next morning, Mysterion calls and asks us to meet at the Freedom Pals base. It's revealed that our franchise plan has been torn apart and Mitch Connor is holding our parents hostage. Kyle, who obviously thinks the Mitch Connor story is bullshit, questions Cartman about his parents' whereabouts, and Mysterion demands Cartman's cooperation, but he angrily leaves to prove his innocence. Just as we're about to leave, Timmy bestows every class on us, and we'll swap our ultimate to Full Force Fisting, Fatal Trim for Dragon Dance, and Cerebral Blast for Dragon Reversal. The following section involves a wild goose chase to different locations to find Mitch Connor. At Tweak's Coffee, we solve the first part of our riddle and then face the town leaders, including a 6th grade leader, Eddie the Redneck, Mercedes, and a crab person. After defeating them, we equip the Necronomicon into Psycho DNA and continue to search for Mitch Connor. Fast travel is prohibited during this part, which ends up being a lot of running. Eventually, Call Girl tracks down Mitch Connor at the community center, leading to a humorous fight where we technically face Mitch, but are essentially beating up Cartman. After the fight, we switch Dragon Reversal for Soul Slash and fast travel to the Freedom Pals base. Thanks to some torture, Cartman reveals that Mitch Connor plans to unleash an army of genetically altered cats, and that a certain professor, Dr. Mephisto, at the genetics lab is funding the scheme. In the genetics lab section, we fight genetically altered enemies like cats, 6th graders, mutants, and Kyle's cousin in that order. We adjust our artifacts and skills after each fight to optimize our strategy. After defeating the many ass mutants, we discover our parents are held captive, and the lab aims to extract DNA from them. In order to progress further, we face a tough decision. having to choose between our mother or father's life. Talking to our mom first and then dad allows us to skip one cutscene. Since we're right next to our dad, we choose to sacrifice him, placing his head on the DNA extractor to proceed deeper into the lab. The ultimate fight in this section is with Mutant Kyle's cousin, and it's another one that we absolutely cheese. Similar to the security team fight at Token's house, we use Callgirl's third skill to enrage him and position our party in a way so that he's forced to target her with his laser attack and not his charge attack. But because he can't reach her, he just skips his turn, making the entire fight one-sided. This also cuts out 3 of his actions and skips his dialogue where he says, "Wait, I have a smudge on my glasses," which normally slows down the fight. When it changes from night to day, he gets a defense debuff, so we aim to use a full force fisting, which will deal a crazy amount of damage. Finally, we'll unleash a massive fart on him, ending the fight. The massive fart that defeated Mutant Kyle's cousin fast forwards time 10 days, leading to Mitch Connor becoming the mayor of South Park. To prevent this, we travel on foot to Freeman's Tacos, where Morgan Freeman offers us a special taco capable of granting powerful farts, enabling time travel. After unleashing a powerful time fart, we equip the merit sash in the new artifact slot and replace the purifying petals with Dragon Dance. Surprisingly, we find ourselves in a future where South Park is under Mitch Connor's rule. We battle as enforcers, the Woodline Critters, before heading to the abortion clinic to fix our fractured butthole and time fart back to the past, which is where this game gets its title. Successfully returning to the past, we face our allies and ourselves in order to get Cartman. This fight takes about 4 minutes and 21 seconds, making it the longest in the game. Defeating our past selves, we invade Cartman's house for a confrontation, leading to Mitch Connor appearing on the Coon's hand, congratulating us for finding him. After a punch from Mitch, we fart back to the original story with the Coon. During the backstory revelation, we learn that our parents possess the ability to amass social media followers. The government kidnapped them to exploit this power, leading to their love and our birth. They protected us, and the medicine given to us was meant to suppress our power, but it inadvertently gave us extreme farting abilities. Discovering the truth, we time travel with Cartman just before Mitch's official election as mayor. The Freedom Pals confront Cartman, and Kyle demands that he reveal Mitch to be nothing but a persona. However, 2 versions of Mitch Connor claim different things, leading to a battle against both. Once the fight ends, we send a picture of Mitch Connor's ultimate plan to Callgirl, who exposes him on social media, foiling his scheme. The speedrun concludes when the green check mark appears after uploading the photo. Mitch Connor's plan is thwarted, and the town agrees to seek clean drugs and alcohol from the neighboring town. And yeah, that's pretty much it. The speedrun is relatively standard in terms of objectives, but there is the occasional time save or skip along the way to save a few minutes. Outside of that, it's just moving from point A to point B with a pretty slow walking speed, tons of unskippable cutscenes and dialogue, scripted fight encounters, and with the run being over 3 hours long, there's not many people out there that would like to take the time to both learn and memorize a run to grind it out, myself included. It doesn't help either that a lot of the basic game mechanics, some intended and some not, are just kind of there to waste the time of speedrunners, especially when compared to the Stick of Truth. In that game, you're able to add friends just by brushing past them. Fast travel is mostly instantaneous, all cutscenes except for the one at the end are skippable, and there's also version differences which block out some of the more time-consuming minigames. But I'm bringing this up more as a matter of fact. Not that it legitimately bothers me, although I do think some things could have been changed to make things more enjoyable, even from a casual perspective. Most of the intentional jabs are pretty funny, which is the overall purpose of this game, to make us laugh. This was never supposed to be a super intense speed game, and it most likely never will. But then again, with only a handful of people investing time into the run, maybe the addition of some more community members might help bring this game down further, as I'd love to see a sub 3 hour run someday. Which brings me back to the point that if you're somehow able to recreate the original XP glitch in a way that doesn't involve literally modding the bug in, there is a $250 bounty on the table. Maybe something like downpatching the game while bypassing the Uplay launcher shenanigans will allow the game to work like it did in Firepaw's run. Who knows? But since I think this is pretty unlikely to ever get claimed, any new XP glitches that allows us to get access to artifact slots early, or really any discovery that will allow this game to become sub 3 hours, I will still honor the bounty for. Thanks again to Qazplm for allowing us to use the speedrun video and sending us a raw recording for this video. It's honestly brilliant how he mostly single-handedly brought this game down from where it stood before, without the assistance of any crazy experience glitches. Qaz has been uploading a plethora of speedrunning related content about this game to his YouTube channel, and the route is still very much in development, so I will have his channel linked in the description, as that's a place I'd personally go to learn about the game, as well as a dedicated speedrun Discord server. Lastly, special thanks again to Surfshark for sponsoring this video. Reminder that by using my code EZScape at checkout, or by using the link in the description, will grant you a massive discount on their service, and they have a 30-day money-back guarantee, so there's no issue if it doesn't end up working out for you. If you watched this far, I truly appreciate it, and if you enjoyed the video, please leave it a like, as it's the best way to show support. That's all I have to say for today's video, so subscribe for more speedrunning related content, and as always, I hope you all have a beautiful life.